sitting with Adam Lesner. Adam, you're a loan officer with Michigan First Mortgage.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we were talking before the break a little bit about land contracts and how that's really come back in our culture, in no small part because of the real hit people's credit ratings and so forth have taken over the last few years with the Great Recession / depression that our nation has been dealing with. So many of us have been dinged on our credit, and frankly, the lending institutions made it a little tougher to get credit there for a good long while, and so this land contract option is important. Again, one more time, land contract is?
Land contract is when a seller is basically the private lender.
Yeah, they're seller financing, we call it sometimes, right?
Exactly. Seller financing, land contracts, same thing. It's instead of having a mortgage with, ABC Mortgage down the street, you have the mortgage with the previous owner.
Yeah, and typically from a real estate agent's perspective, the client would need to know they're going to have a nice hefty down payment. The seller often needs to see some skin in the game, as we say, in terms of a down payment.
Right, and sellers think it's attractive because they look at it as a possible income, something that might be steady. But the problem is that last year the CFPB actually put in guidelines saying, okay, well, you can do land contracts on your primary residence or your previous primary residence. However, you need to meet these guidelines.
Real quick, backing up, CFPB, that's that alphabet soup we throw around, stands for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is coming out of that Dodd-Frank legislation that people have lots of opinions about. But the fact is the fact. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has created a whole lot of new guidelines, and one of them is having to do with these land contracts. It's not quite as simple as it used to be.
Correct. So, a normal Joe Schmo that's trying to sell his house on land contract now has to fall within lending guidelines, one of them being, for example, there can't be, if it's on a balloon payment, which most land contracts are. Used to be, I'll do a land contract for a year, I'll refinance out of it because my balloon is up, or, a 3-year balloon. But now the requirement is that balloon cannot be within 5 years.
Yeah, in fact, that whole balloon is almost a bad word anymore with that land contract. So, American Dreamer, you're listening to Michigan Real Talk. We're sitting with Adam Lesner, lender with Michigan First Mortgage, mortgage lender. And these land contracts can be a great option for a seller, though, because sometimes, you don't have a buyer for your house who's ready with a nice, clean mortgage and ready to go.
Well, yeah, and sometimes with the land contracts, they're trying to get a higher price for the house.
Well, it turns out if
got to
they
be good for the seller and the buyer.
Yeah, it's got to work out for both parties, and typically the buyer will end up paying a little higher interest rate than they would on a mortgage.
Sure. It's usually, it's up to the term. They'll come up with their own terms between the buyer and the seller.
I thought with the CFPB, though, they had regulated that also. You can't anymore. And I don't know what the terms are, but I thought they had regulated the interest also when they were doing that. But
there's
I don't know.
A limit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The other thing too is sellers find it attractive because they think, well, my house has been zoned as commercial, like we were talking about earlier, and now no lender's gonna do this. But if you talk to your potential buyers that are looking to buy it on land contract, maybe they can get a portfolio loan on something unique. So
yeah, well, it's a great option for a lot of buyers whose credit maybe has been dinged a little too harsh with the current financial situation, and this could get them into home ownership and get them into not throwing money down that rental hole. American Dreamer, give us a call anytime off air. We'd be glad to talk to you about your unique situation and put you in touch with the professionals who can help you know what questions you should even be asking.
Or you can go to the website.
Go to the website, mirealtalk.com.